Hi, and welcome to Earth and Space Science. My name is Crystal Dubois, and I'll be your teacher for the course. I'm really excited to teach this course. It's my absolute favorite science course to teach, and I hope you're really excited to take it too. This course covers some really interesting topics. We'll start with a unit that's kind of an introduction to our science skills, a review for most of you, and then we'll do a unit on earth materials, which is where you learn all about different kinds of rocks and minerals. Then we'll do a unit on Earth's geologic history, which covers mass extinctions and the dinosaurs, and all of those sorts of things. And then we'll do a unit on geologic processes, so volcanoes and earthquakes and plate tectonics. And then we'll move into the astronomy side of things, where we'll do a unit on astronomy, the Big Bang Theory, the evidence we have for the Big Bang Theory, and then we'll do our last unit on planetary sciences, where we focus really on our solar system and the processes that created our solar system. So it's really interesting content, and I hope you're excited to take this course. I feel a little awkward teaching this course virtually, so I feel the need to introduce myself and explain why you should listen to me about anything to do with geology. And all of those sorts of things. So anyways, about me, I actually grew up in southern Alberta and then went out east to do my undergraduate degree in chemistry and environmental science. And when I graduated, I moved to Ottawa, where I did my PhD in the Earth Sciences department, and I focused on carbon cycling in northern temperate lakes and new methodologies to use stable isotopes to trace carbon cycling. Anyways, that's a lot. I did some research years after that, and eventually I ended up back at the University of Ottawa for a postdoc, where I ended up teaching an introductory Earth Sciences course. And I realized I absolutely loved teaching and that was what I really wanted to do. And that's kind of what led me where I am right now. I've actually been teaching at St. Mark Catholic High School for the last 10-ish years, where I teach mainly chemistry and this course, and a little bit of biology as well. And then on an extracurricular side of things, I also do a lot of rock climbing, which ties in really well to teaching about geology. This summer, my husband and I had a chance to travel back to Alberta to visit some family and do some climbing. Here's Jason on the summit of Mount Sir Donald. This is right on the border of Alberta and British Columbia. And as you can see, there's some spectacular mountains there. They're primarily made of quartzite, which is this beautiful rock that you can see in the foreground. And you can see some big glaciers in the background. This whole landscape was really carved by glaciers. And we'll talk a lot about how landscapes are formed in this course. We also went to Jasper National Park, and here's me climbing on this limestone formation called the Arch. This was caused by differential erosion, and we'll talk all about these sorts of processes in the course, and I'll end up using a lot of these climbing photographs that I have taken over the years to demonstrate these landscapes. We also do a lot of rock climbing on smaller rocks. This is called bouldering. So this is me down in Tennessee, where we're climbing on some really cool sculpted sandstone. My parents also do some climbing. So here's my parents at the summit of the scramble we did on the Front Range of the Canadian Rockies. Just really fun to be able to share that with them. And we don't have any kids, but I have two adorable nephews, Leaf and Ivan. And there's my brother and sister-in-law. Leaf, my oldest nephew, is super into Lego and learning French, which is a bit unusual when you live in southern Alberta. And Ivan in the foreground there is really into trucks, but also has found a love for rocks and rock polishing. So this summer I had the chance to teach him all about the different rocks we saw, which was really cool. And then on the other side of the family, we have an adorable niece. Her name is Avery. She's super into unicorns, helping out as much as she can. She loves to be outside, and I love spending time with her, so I'm excited for a lot more of that this summer. The other thing my students seem to know about me is that my husband and I have a YouTube channel. It's called JK Brickworks. It's become pretty popular. We just have just about 2.4 million subscribers right now. And we post videos where we make kind of moving Lego sculptures. And a lot of these end up being pretty science related, so I'll include some of these in our course content as well. And one of your first assignments for this course will actually be to tell me a little bit about yourself, the reasons you want to be taking this course, and what your goals are for the course. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about and explain how the course is set up and laid out. So this is what your course homepage will look like, or pretty close to this. And every week I'll make an announcement which tells you the work that you're expected to do that week. You'll also receive an email that has the same information in it. So you'll know 2 places where you can find the work for the week. Once you've got the work for the week, you'll go into the content tab. My internet's a bit slow here, but here you'll see all the content listed for the course, or all the current content for the course. When you click on any of these tabs, they'll expand and show you the individual lessons. In your first week of the course, you'll be working on the welcome, the academic integrity, and a review of some scientific skills. Anytime you're going through these lessons, I would highly recommend reading the course content first, watching the videos. That's where all the information you need to apply to the assignments and quizzes is found. So once you've read through the course content or watched the videos for that, you can click on the My Work tab, and there you'll find the assignments and the quizzes and maybe the discussion posts that you'll have to do for the week. This course is pretty heavily focused on assignments and quizzes. We have a few discussions, but none of the lower ones. So to talk about that, for this course, your grade for the course, 70% of it comes from your term work, and then 30% is from stuff at the end of the course. Your final exam is worth 20%, and your RST is worth 10%. In general, in this course, the unit tests will be worth about 35%. Your major assignments will be worth about 20%, and then minor assignments will be worth about 15%. There also will be a bunch of quizzes in this course. These quizzes really are to be treated more like homework. They're not going to be included in part of your grades, and they're really used to see if you understand the content. So on that note, please do the quizzes yourself. Don't just plug everything into ChatGPT and see what it spits out. ChatGPT, A, isn't great at geology, and B, there's no point in you doing these quizzes with ChatGPT and me marking your ChatGPT work if they're not worth anything anyways. So try the quizzes yourself. They're great practice for unit tests, for mastering the content, and we'll go from there. On that note about academic integrity, I do really expect all your work to be your own. And to make sure we're doing that, we need to make sure we're citing our sources correctly. We'll talk more about that later when you're doing research-based assignments as well, and that we're using the tools appropriately. Anytime I ask you for photographs, I really don't want AI-generated images. If I ever have any questions about academic integrity, I'll contact you and we'll have a Google Meet about that, and we can talk about where to go next. But no point stressing over that. We'll do some more work on academic integrity in online classes later this week. But your very first assignment for the course is going to be to go into the quizzes here. And under that, you'll do this Get to Know You quiz. So this quiz should help you figure out some of the tools in D2L a little bit better. And the last thing to remember is that if you ever come across any technological difficulties or any issues at all, and there will be technological difficulties, there always are, despite having taught this course a few times, please just send me an email. I'm happy to answer your questions at any point. Okay, so make sure you fill out that quiz and have yourself a good week.